First of all, you haven't even really seen the presentation because we wanted to just create a moment together, and it's more of a recap of what happened this past year. And one of the first meetings that I had with the team, the seniors spoke up, and they said, they had 5 seniors, and they spoke up and they said, we want our theme this year to be brick by brick. And so you can see the details that go into their program. It's unbelievable. They have brick by brick behind the home plate. And so once they said that, I had an idea. And so I met with Tim the next day, and I showed him a TED Talk by Margaret Heffernan. It's outstanding. And so I'm just going to show you a clip of this, and then we'll get Tim's thoughts on it.
When the going gets tough, and it always will get tough if you're doing breakthrough work that really matters, what people need is social support, and they need to know who to ask for help. Companies don't have ideas. Only people do. And what motivates people are the bonds and loyalty and trust they develop between each other. What matters is the mortar, not just the bricks.
And Tim, when you saw that, what were the thoughts that came to your mind?
Well, going backwards into that TED Talk that I'd never seen before was the ideal of developing super chickens. And, you know, I felt at the University of Florida, the amount of recruiting that goes into that, you're trying to find the elite of the elite of the elite to compete against each other on a team. And ultimately, I felt like we were actually creating super chickens. And what happens to super chickens in this TED Talk is they kill each other, they eat each other, and they never form the bond necessary to be, you know, a very successful group. And this message here was...
You showed it to the team.
Oh, yeah, and they loved it. And I think that was probably what made the ending of this season so hard, because of the fact that we had probably the closest, the tightest, the best formed bond of any team that I've ever coached. And, you know, it just... I wouldn't change it, actually, to be honest with you. I know we lost and didn't get a chance to go to the World Series, but I wouldn't change it because of the bond that I now have with the kids on our team and what they bought into in each other. It was special.
And I know that might be hard for you guys to believe, but I think as we go through this, you'll understand exactly what he's talking about. So we wanted to develop this theme, and it was interesting because ESPN did a feature on them, and they were trying to talk about, because they had won back-to-backs, how are you going to three-peat? Right? And they asked one of the seniors, Kirsty, what's the key? And here's what she said.
For Florida to win another national championship, we have to unite.
And once she said that, so she said, for Florida to win another national championship, we have to unite. We wanted to build a theme around what she says, because when players say it, I mean, that gives the message so much more power.
Yeah, I thought exactly... What you don't see is what she's been going through since August with the freshmen, the sophomores, the juniors, and her senior class. And we truly had probably more of a disconnect between what the seniors' expectations were and what our freshmen' expectations were in regards to what it's going to take to win a championship.
And that's one of the toughest things to manage from your shoes, right? So what we did is we created a sign that was all about the mortar. In other words, the connection between the bricks. And then we put unite, inspired by what Kirsty said. And to try and make this point sticky, this was great, because I shared this with Tim, and he went out and talked to all the brickies. Is that what they call
Correct.
it? The brickies in Gainesville.
I learned more about how you build a wall, how you what you need to create cement or the mortar, and a brickie, a trowel, and all the other tools that you need to become a master bricksman, I guess you can say, but just being able to build the wall the right way.
And what you guys see in the footage is we gave everyone a brick, and they wrote their name on one side of the brick, and then on the other side, what did they do?
Well, I had each person just give me what they're bringing to the team as far as what impactful word they felt like described themselves. We had, I think Coach Rocha, her word was servant. She just felt like she's a servant to all of our players and our coaches, and being able to just help them with anything. And then other players, there were some strength, some motivation, some just faith was one of our seniors. Just different words that help them describe what they're going to bring to our team and bring value to the mortar aspect as opposed to just getting hits.
Everyone went around and shared their word. And what you're going to see here is after we did that, we asked them to build a wall. And it took them kind of a long time, because you would think that it'd be pretty straightforward, but
I mean, listening to Coach Clark talk about 20-hour week, I thought we were going to burn our 4 hours in this event because, again, you had too many Chiefs, not enough Indians, and
we
following
learned
direction.
a lot about the room, didn't we?
You learned who the leaders were, and then there were some that were really smart, and they're trying to put together a Rubik's Cube of how
One
it has
had
to
a drawing.
go. Yeah, one did draw it up.
Yeah, they're like, no, you got to do it this way. And so after we had this wall, we stacked it up, and Tim, you brought up a senior. Talk about what's going on right here.
Well, we went over there and we talked about, as we're building this thing, and I just asked her, if you took one of the bricks out, or what would happen and how would it work? And, as you're going to see me come up here in a minute, and I kind of pushed it over, and they're like, wait a minute, this took us forever to figure this thing out. I talked about how that it's important to have bricks, but the only way that the wall is going to stand is if we, put in the mortar, if we put another time in between it. And if we all go down, we're all going down together. And I think, again, that's where the end of the season came down for me, is not one person lost our season, it was everybody.
Yeah.
And I think that was the most rewarding feeling, is that everybody impacted our program. And we just talked about how the foundation can be what it is, but if it doesn't have the relationships and the bond, it's not going to stay together.
I love it. And the point of this illustration is when you get knocked down, do you separate? Because you can tell a lot about a team, what happens when they go through adversity. And so we wanted to illustrate how important the mortar was. And basically, we had everyone gather their bricks, right? And then we actually brought in mortar. And so you talk about the experience, man.
It was incredible to watch. Just, and we really built it, from the managers to the freshmen to the sophomores to the juniors to the seniors, and put my seniors and myself up to the top. And basically the illustration was that we have the most to lose. And we've won 2 championships. If we go down, we're going to fall the furthest because of the expectations and all the other stuff. And all the other players are just trying to build it up and create that foundation below it. And I think the message was heard loud and clear. But there's a lot of detail into this. And obviously mentioned to them that I really wanted them to stress the importance of their word on the back as opposed to their name on the front, and try to create a good, strong bond.
And the cool thing about the wall, if you build it good, what happens is when it does get knocked down, the bricks don't separate. And that's what we were kind of trying to do. And so we kept that in the locker room. It just all built into this kind of postseason theme that we had is all about the mortar. And one of the things that you did to help build that mortar, talk about the pregame speech in the locker room, how people would share about their families.
Yeah, and you sparked something in my head. I've always given the pregame speeches, and I've already done that, and I wanted to find a way to impact them greater, and no better way than have them do it themselves. So each one of our players pregame talked to the team about their family. Some did a pictorial, some did a letter, they did a phenomenal job of motivating our team to play and compete. And they talked about their family, they talked about who they are and where they came from. And with that being said, then I had them also give their favorite motivational clip. Some gave some Friday Night Lights videos. I thought it was a great way to take the pressure off me to have to continue to do this for 63 games and give them an opportunity to give back. And it was way more impactful than anything I've ever done, just letting them share with their teammates. And I saw one other thing that doesn't really go into this, but I saw some confidence grow. When you're around your peers, sometimes you're more nervous than you would think around strangers. And I saw confidence grow in our players to really feel, a part, whether they were the home run hitter or whether they were just a role player. It was valuable.
I mean, if I met you 10 years ago and I said, hey, in 10 years, you're going to be using the pregame to have your athletes talk about their family, you would have said what to me?
I'm desperate. I mean, I must be doing a terrible job. Something's wrong. Because I'm completely, I was here and now I guess I'm going towards here, but I would never have thought that I would allow my players that type of, just that type of presence in the locker room.